picking up where we left off, 2 Maccabees chapter 3, and we had left off at verse 37, so we're going to pick back up with verse 37 again. Go ahead.
And when the king asked Heliodorus, who might be a fit man to be sent yet once again to Jerusalem.
Now remember, this was the treasurer that had gotten beat within an inch of his life. The king that sent him is inquiring because he was expecting this person to return with the revenues. He said, well, who can I send to get this job done? Now watch what this treasurer replies. Go ahead.
He said, if thou hast any enemy or traitor,
if you have any enemy or a traitor in your midst, go ahead.
Send him thither.
Send him there. Go ahead.
And thou shalt receive him well scourged.
And you will give him well scourged. In other words, whoever you send down there is going to get their ass whooped. Well scourged is what it says. Go ahead.
And thou shalt receive him well scourged if he escape with his life.
If he escape with his life. He's telling you, you can't just be sending nobody down there. Go ahead.
For in that place, no doubt, there is an especial power of God.
Go ahead.
For he that dwelleth in heaven have his eye on that place.
So he had the power that have his that dwell in heaven. He said watches over, has his eye on that place. Go ahead.
And defendeth it.
And what?
And defendeth it.
Go ahead.
And he beateth and destroyeth them that come to hurt it.
And he beateth it. It says, and he beateth and destroyeth them that come to hurt it. This was a Greek speaking in this fashion, and he was speaking out of experience. Go ahead.
Verse 40. And the things concerning Heliodorus and the keeping of the treasury fell out on this sort.
In other words, the issue was dropped. Now, when you go into secular sources of history, it'll let you know from that point on that very same treasurer, Heliodorus, killed Seleucus. Matter of fact, let's read that first. You got to go back to Daniel chapter 11 and read verse 20 again. So we done with that. But let me say this. Concerning the raising of taxes, you really only have to read the entire chapter well, actually you can. You still can read it because it still has it has a lot to do. Yeah, it has a lot to do also with the fourth, so we won't even go into it. It has a lot to do with Antiochus the fourth. But in concerning getting understanding on what Daniel chapter 11 verse 20 said about they shall stand up instead of raising taxes, that's all of 2 Maccabees chapter 3. But like I said, we skip certain verses so as to get to the meat of the topic. So now we're going to go back to Daniel chapter 11 and read verse 20 again.
Then shall stand up in his estate a raiser of taxes.
So in the place of Antiochus III, once again, Seleucus IV, whose surname was Philopator, stood up and reigned in his place. And he was, go ahead,
a raiser of taxes.
Raiser of taxes because of the circumstance that he inherited upon his father's death. With the Roman and the war indemnity that his father was paying was passed on to him. Go ahead.
In the glory of the kingdom. But within a few days he shall be destroyed.
But what?
But within a few days he shall be destroyed.
And then when you look at his timeline, he was, when it says he shall be destroyed, literally, this Seleucus, which I guess what's that, 7 years? 187 BC to 175 BC. That's 8 years, right? Yeah. Or is that 12 years? The BC going backward always gets me. From 187 to 177 will be what? Will be 10 years. From 187 BC to 177. So this is he ruled 12 years, and the circumstance behind Seleucus Philopator is that he shall do what? What was the end of verse 20 said about him?
But within a few days,
he
shall be destroyed.
In other words, he literally was assassinated or put to death by the very tax collector. The very tax collector, Heliodorus, came back and been sent to Jerusalem out of spite, but really having a successor that was in Rome, he decided what? He killed him. So what happened, upon Seleucus' death, Seleucus IV was put to death by his own tax collector, his own treasurer. Antiochus Epiphanes, because Seleucus was paying the Romans the indemnity that his father had incurred and died, Seleucus had to send his son Demetrius I, which we don't have written down here because he's not directly spoken of in this episode in Daniel chapter 11. But he sent his son Demetrius the first, whose surname was Soter, like this cat here, S-O-T-E-R. He sent him to Rome, and Antiochus was released. So what Antiochus Epiphanes did, Antiochus Epiphanes came. We're going to get that also in the Josephus right now. Antiochus Epiphanes came and killed the treasurer of Seleucus IV. Antiochus IV, whose surname was Epiphanes, came and killed Heliodorus. He killed a few others. He killed another brother of his who was a child at the time, another son of Antiochus. Let me say this so that you understand. These two were brothers. Seleucus IV and Antiochus IV were both the son of Antiochus the Great. Antiochus also had an infant or a child son. So when Seleucus was put to death by the treasurer, Antiochus put the treasurer to death and the other child son of Antiochus the Great. And then he grew. So we're going to go ahead. That was verse what? You read verse 20, right?
Yeah.
Okay, pick it up where you left off.
Neither in anger nor in battle.
Read it again from the whole time.
Verse 20. Then shall stand up in his estate a raiser of taxes in the glory of the kingdom. But within a few days he shall be destroyed.
In other words, it's talking about the manner of death that he died. Go ahead. He got put to death by his own treasurer. Go ahead.
Neither in anger nor in battle.
Neither in anger or in battle. Go ahead.
Verse 21. And in his estate shall stand up a vile person.
And in his estate. In other words, in the place of Seleucus IV, a vile person. Now this is the one where we probably spend the rest of, not probably without a doubt, we spend the rest of this and the following hour on, because it has so much to read about. But verses 21, because I want you to go ahead and read through verses 21 to 24, because verses 21 to 24 is in a sense a summary of all the things that Antiochus did collectively. But chronologically, it's going to pick up with verse 25. Because the first thing he didn't just walk in and start whooping Israel's ass. He actually had a couple of treaties with Israel. So some of his first deeds, this vile person is talking about before we move on. You want to read that again, please? Verse 21, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Verse 21. And in his estate shall stand up a vile person.
And in his estate. Go ahead.
And in his estate shall stand up a vile person.
The vile person, and this is the last one on the list. The vile person is talking about Antiochus Epiphanes. Now the brother's going to read from verses 21 through 24, but it's not giving you what all. In other words, verses 21 in this chapter through 24 is in a sense a brief summary in advance of all the things that for the most part, the things that Antiochus did, what they would amount to. That's from verse 21 through 24. But it's not telling you at this moment he did it. As soon as he took power, it's going to get verse 25. It's going to pick it up chronologically what began to be Antiochus Epiphanes, his deeds. Now, notice his surname. Well, we'll get to that. The surname Antiochus Epiphanes is a Greek word that means God manifest. That's what it means. God manifest. He was so, when the scriptures say vile, this dude was so mad that literally his